Yeah. I don't know what happened or why it changed.
You can see Ria's better third.
Wow.
Nerd. That took me a second.
Okay, we're going live. Haha! Sweet. Now, last step, some might consider most important, getting the peanut gallery up and running. And, as you guys are not in the middle of a dangerous fight that I'm aware of, some music. Did that... it would help if that wasn't in your personal channel.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
This is like the second time you've done that.
Shush! Wally is spreading everywhere. He will enter all. Okay, you guys get your minds out of the gut. This is Wally we're talking about. He's like sunshine and woofles.
Woofles.
Hello,
Please have a
everyone.
woofle.
Yes, you can. Price is 3 pets.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Curse of the Crimson Throne, where our heroes continue their ever-pressing quest to leave the orphanage. Recap. We need a recap, don't we?
Perhaps.
Curse of the Crimson Throne. Planning. Our heroes spent last session debating their options for approaching the Emperor, after quickly shooting down the concept of piecemeal breaking down the Emperor's power structure, as that might be a whole campaign in itself. Our heroes then considered sneaking in invisibly, or using the aid of their most wonderful and beautiful NPC friend, Baboon, who, of course, arrived and wished well upon everyone, bringing gifts that you pay for.
Which don't actually qualify as gifts.
There are gifts with asterisks.
Technically, he did bring some gifts because he stole a shit ton more food.
But you still paid for
Rich
those.
people.
But you still paid for that. Just that reduced
like 10
rates.
gold.
Yeah, reduced rates. And Robin, your newest companion, learned that Baboon may not be all that he seems, or all that he seems and more. Dun dun. I need like a stinger. I need like a 1930s like. Burr, burr, burr. That's it. I'm done. That was last session was very important and very needed planning, because without planning, how can things go wrong?
Yeah, if we don't have a plan to stick to, we won't know when we're just totally off the rails.
Right? I can't railroad you guys if you don't have plans. What
when
the
have we ever spent like a session planning and it goes exactly the way it's supposed to?
Last time?
Actually, the All the Worlds Meet went pretty phenomenally according to your plan.
All the
What
way.
was our plan?
All the Worlds Meet. You snuck in at night. You lured away in fact, all of the men, and then sicked the Crimson Guard on them, and only had to fight Van Castrican. I mean, as far
Oh my god, that's right!
as far as your plan goes, it went pretty spectacularly.
I wasn't here for it. It doesn't count.
Well, fair enough. You heard it from her. You guys have never had a plan go through.
Well, shit.
I'm sorry. I can't argue.
This particular configuration of people.
But I believe, and I want to stress for our dear viewers, that my good players have been brainstorming all day. And I do mean all day. It started at like 9 in the morning. Which is always fantastic for a DM to see your players so invested in their own bad decisions.
Yeah, I
Also
woke
to
up
be
to
able-
like 150 messages.
I was actually awake and planning for once. So,
But I don't
no,
want to.
no.
I don't want to spoil anything for our lovely viewers. So I'm going to open this session up, and the floor is to you guys. When we ended last session, you had two options you were considering. One was sneaking in all invisible like, and trying to get to Salvatore Scream, and knocking him out, and then re-invisibilizing, and then getting out of there.
A lot of invisibility going around.
It was just such a funny picture. Like, someone just pops out of existence, knocks him over the head, and disappears again. Or using Baboom or your own charms to talk your way into the presence of the Emperor, offering him something that would tickle his fancy, be it fancy art or entertainment or nude drawings. You guys were a little vague on exactly what. And try and get in that way. So, I don't need you guys to tell me what you've just chosen. I am well aware. I say that we're just going to bring the session back in. We'll say that your group has been planning out details, and we can go ahead and pick up wherever you guys feel you need to. If you feel that there's things in character you need to talk about or resolve, obviously Baboon is on board with what you want to try. But of course, it'd be a grand adventure. That is not his accent at all.
No, it's not.
I think that was Gilmore from Critical Role. I'm not even sure.
God, that was pretty close, yeah.
Any case, he is my friends, it would be a grand adventure. If there's anything in character you feel you need to work out before you guys leave the orphanage, now would be the time. We will say that it's around noon. You guys you've been sitting around the table busily scheming and drawing schematics, and Aras is over there at the protractor.
She's not doing anything with it. She's just got it.
She's drawing circles and shapes and stuff. Muri's over there on the wall with like all the push pins and the twine going around it. She's sitting there with the cigarette going, "See, this is what goes to that." All right.
Pepe Sylvia.
Moira is smoking in her own home.
That's just how stressed she is. But no, is there anything you guys need to address in character before you head out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to look over the ledgers and such, to see if there were any descriptions of what the Emperor
Hilt Swazel?
Swizzle Stick.
Here, let me type it in, because after last week, I made sure I had this well on hand, because last week was so embarrassing because I remembered it, and then at the moment, all I could think was Swizzle Stick.
It's Pelt Swizzle, I know,
It's
but
Pilt
I
Swizzle.
just
But I agree.
Swizzle Stick in my heart.
I agree. It's so hard to unsee.
But yeah, I wanted to see if there were any descriptions of what he had commissioned from Scream previously, because he had a bunch of different commissions that were put in the ledger.
Yes, he
So I wanted
did. He was one of Salvador Scream's biggest patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the ledgers would have very detailed descriptions of what the Emperor wanted. The Emperor, well, I say detailed, but in a general sense, the Emperor didn't try and dictate every detail, but instead went more into what mood or theme he was going for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of his paintings were very dark. Pictures of dead bodies running with blood, battlefields, torture scenes, the undead screaming. Definitely pictures and paintings that you would not see in what one would consider civilized company. But that said, as I believe you rolled a nat 20 last week about what Triana had told you about Scream.
Did I?
Yeah,
I
you
know
rolled.
that it was really high.
Yeah, whether it was a nat 20 or not, it was extremely high to the point where basically she had told you a whole lot about him. That was what he was known for. Salvador Scream was a very talented painter, but he was known for very disturbing images, and in fact, they were images that very much disturbed Triana. So when I say scenes of battle, I don't mean like in your history book. I mean like where the gore is front and center.
Oh god, in that case, I think I might actually have an idea for the subject matter. If we are planning on making a picture for him. Painting him a picture.
Portly in a skeleton costume.
Yes, exactly. I'm so glad we're on the same page, Squee.
Too spoopy.
Too spoopy. Yes. So, essentially, what I'm thinking is they could make a picture of Annika. Spooky undead chick. Probably up his alley. Maybe like with more blood or something. But
I see, or maybe still missing half her body, or
yeah, like there's definitely still holes in her right now. So it's not like we don't have a model.
Oh my god, are you gonna have Annika model?
Are you kidding me? She'd eat it up.
Yeah, she would.
Mary's sitting in the background, head in her hands, like, oh my god, how has it come to this?
So
Wait. Hold that pose.
So I have to actually ask for canon purposes. Is this a thing? Do you summon Annika to draw?
Amelia would pose the option first before summoning her. Since she's not the one who has to draw this.
Portly is fine with this.
Traitor.
This is his day.
Yeah, I mean, Ria's already pretty much volunteered to do whatever sort of artistic stuff needs to be done. I don't like that.
Oh my god.
I don't like that.
Yeah, but probably a little worse. Sorry.
Oh boy.
You know what?
I posted the famous picture by Goya.
Hang on. I'm gonna show this to the chat. There you go.
I don't like
There
that.
you go. So like that, but with more talent, more lifelike, more skill,
Damn.
and more
Yeah.
care. Yeah, I know, right?
More talent.
I mean, that's incredibly insulting to a real life painter, but yeah, they're dead, so.
I mean, I was gonna say, he's technically not alive anymore, so.
I've completely forgotten what I was saying.
Sorry,
Christ.
Ria has already volunteered to do the painting.
Right, yeah, so you guys just direct her and she'll suck it up and get done whatever needs to be done.
Excuse me.
Amelia's just like, I mean, do you want to do it in here? Would you prefer to do it out? Like, what? Just like, definitely not putting this off. What?
Or also be like, I mean, you can. We're at the orphanage, right? Just checking.
Yeah, we're at the orphanage.
Okay, I'm just making
Yes,
sure. I was like,
yes.
you could go up to the attic and maybe have a bit more
Ambiance.
privacy. I meant privacy and like
That too.
quiet space, and you know, there's a tarp on the floor, so if you get really crazy with the paint, it's okay.
Sure.
Crazy with the paint.
I mean,
Whatever. She'll just look towards Amelia. Whatever's best for you and her.
Oh my god. As you say that, Annika manifests behind Amelia with just this bright smile that just kind of looks really it's creepy on, you know, half of a dead girl, and she just starts heading upstairs.
Mm-hmm. I will say, as she heads upstairs, she turns to peer at Robin. And then continuing to go upstairs, Amelia, you get a message in your mind, much like the ones in the past, the same request.
Amelia just kind of like takes a breath, holds it for a moment, and then just lets it out slowly.
All right. Well, Rhea, roll me. Well, first of all, describe how you plan to do this. I mean, obviously, no, you don't have to tell me your brush strokes or anything, but are you going to be trying? Are you going to be doing anything to increase your chances of making a good painting, or?
I mean, Amelia will help where she can.
Well, I consider having Anna kind of model already like giving aid, so.
Right. Yeah, no, I think we were gonna try and get one of the +2 charisma materias as well.
Gotcha.
Right.
And I think having, was it Aras or Moiri casting guidance or whoever?
Yeah, I can do guidance.
I need someone to roll me a percentile die, and before you roll it, choose high or low.
Oh no.
Who's rolling?
Any of you.
What?
To see if Baboon has anything like this on him. It wasn't requested of him when he came.
I will roll high.
But he always
Please
carries
roll
some
high.
things.
Oh my god.
Baboon goes, I am very sorry, my friends. You did not request any materia when I came. I brought all that I was asked to.
And if we wanted it now, we would have to wait until tomorrow for you to get it.
Unfortunately, yes, the teleportation only works once a day. I could, of course, do so. But I feel there is a chance you would go without me. I'd be very sad.
Would it have it?
Be the worst thing.
Yeah, are we okay with waiting a day to get that?
Yeah,
How
so
does
would it be-
materia work? Like, if I have a skill materia, but when do you pick what skill?
When you buy it.
When you buy it, okay.
So when you bought it, you would have picked a skill.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like when you slot it in or whatever.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You guys are more than welcome to wait a day. It might very much be worth the plan. It may be the difference between the plan succeeding and failing, for all you know.
Yeah, and I was hoping that we could use it not only to paint the picture, but if we go quickly enough, we could also use that in any persuasion rolls. That's a +2.
I believe it lasts an hour, yes?
It lasts 8 hours.
8 hours?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
well then.
+2 ability one is 8
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, then you wouldn't even have to go that quickly. He's only like 30 minutes away.
I know, but
mean-
you have to like actually paint the picture and let it dry. And
Yes, fair point.
I like
unless
the
we
idea
just
of,
want to get 2.
I like the idea of kind of waiting some, because then we can do some checking and like figure out what's going on, see if there's any local gossip, stuff like that. Information is always helpful.
Also, we can get a better idea of the layout of the place that he is staying.
Okay.
Then-
So in that case, do we want to like feed Majenko an invisibility potion that he can like scout while we're prepping?
Like inside the
Inside, around, I don't know. All over the place. Wherever he can get into, I guess.
I think it'd be better for him to be completely unseen. Yeah.
Yeah, because even if house strikes are fairly fairly common, I can't talk right now. God, that's not foreboding at all. There's still like only so much time that he can spend, especially if he's going to be like getting really close to the area. So
So we have a few options. We have one more potion of invisibility. We can also, Baboon has some, and he can,
He can
Has-
cast invisibility as well.
yeah, what was cheaper?
Well, the
was-
level he casts it at would be able to make like a bunch of people invisible, so we might as well just use a potion since otherwise.
Yeah, it was cheaper money wise for the casting because you can get multiple people.
Yeah, but we only need Majenko invisible
Correct,
right now.
correct.
is the thing, yeah.
That I was saying that was why it was cheaper. Otherwise, the potion is cheaper.
Okay. Then yeah, we can use the last potion of invisibility that we had.
Well, here's a question too. Majenko is a tiny creature. Would one potion of invisibility be multiple doses for him?
No,
No, that's too bad.
unfortunately not, because potions themselves are very tiny vials.
Yeah.
They're about the size of like a perfume bottle.
You're gonna have to be a little more specific
Yeah.
because I've known some
Yeah.
big perfume bottles.
Okay.
Think like a
Um,
sampler
oh,
perfume bottle.
Yeah, like a sampler perfume bottle or a tiny little. You know what? About the size of like a large
Eye drop?
chapstick. An eye drop would be good. Yeah, an eye drop bottle. That's a really good one. Example. I was gonna say Witcher potions, but you guys may not have played Witcher. But yes, like an eye drop bottle is a good example. So not big at all. It's like one swallow. So let me get this straight. So you guys want to give a potion to Majenko, and you want to send him to go scout the palace, try and find any useful information where Salvatore Scream may be, where the Emperor may be, etc., and report back to you.
And like canvass the streets for do we want to canvass streets for gossip? That might be.
I mean,
Well,
if
remember,
anything, he
too-
could probably.
Remember too, we have 2 familiars at our disposal. Majenko does not have to do all of this. He is one very small dragon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kitty can't do too much to help, but you know.
We can send in Portly. That'll be fine.
Portly,
You would make an
Portly's at
excellent
7 hit
distraction.
Exactly.
But yeah, if anything, he could either Majenko or Idrisil? No. No.
Erdogan?
No.
Erdogan.
Erdogan. Idrisil. That is Lord of the Rings. Never mind. I'm Erdogar. They could probably both like at least keep an ear out for like gossip among the Emperor's soldier men, mooks, whatever.
Like find out
And-
how many people go in and out. You know, if there are people of higher status.
And we are expecting the were-rats at some point to come back and pick up what we have for them.
Mm-hmm.
It might be
Noted.
worth asking them too. They go everywhere.
Prior to sending Erdogar, I will state the normal issue as usual. He will not risk his life. If he feels there a risk of his life, he will come back.
I mean, that's
That's
Okay.
reasonable.
I mean,
Okay.
we're not wanting them to get killed. Get information.
So, well, I guess you actually have to make the choice then. Do you send both? Do you send one? Which one do you
I mean-
send?
Both would be able to gather more information, and we're not looking to have them like dive bomb these guys. We just want.
So here is my understanding. We are looking to have Erdogar kind of poke around the street area, and we're looking for Majenko to be invisible and get kind of more up in everybody's business. Like, see if he can get very close to the Emperor or not necessarily the Emperor, but much closer to the building and get more information on the layout and locations of people.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Okay. So, let's go ahead and you give one of them, you give Majenko the invisibility potion while you send Erdegar to just watch the streets, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have not been furiously drawing this entire time. Whoops. So, Majenko nods to Muri, takes the potion, and disappears.
And she will warn him not to risk his own life. Well, if he dies, he just like pops back into pocket dimension. But like, it's the mental / emotional toll we're worried about here.
He says in your mind as he disappears, he says, "I do not intend to be captured again." And I was gonna say flaps away, but you guys don't see that. Robin, of course, I assume you are on board. You with sending Erdegar to monitor the streets.
Yes, do a stay as live as possible out of everyone's way. Don't get in trouble and come back at the first sign of danger, but go ahead and look around, see what information you can gather. Know the final goal is obviously to get into the Emperor, so any information pertaining to that, plus any little additional tidbits of possibly even sightings of anyone that could be from the Valentine family or something of that sort. That's his personal he's going to send him with.
Understood. Question: for how long? Now, both of your familiars will obviously be out of your contact when it comes to seeing and hearing and communicating. They'll have to come back to you. But how long do you want Erdegar to explore the streets, to watch?
To come back in and check in actually about every hour. I imagine it doesn't take long to fly to point A to point B, much less the walking takes longer. So
Right.
I do want him to come back and at least tap vision with me every hour.
I see. So back far enough to get within 100 feet to be able to communicate with you every hour. Gotcha.
It's important to be in contact with my friend.
That would certainly not be an issue for him.
How long does the invisibility potion last?
An hour.
Okay, then. Yeah.
Majenko's got an hour. But again, same thing. 30 minutes on foot is 5 minutes as the bird flies. So it's not a problem for him distance-wise.
Okay. Gotcha.
I would like... Muri, you have Majenko... Do you have a sheet from... You're using a bat sheet, right?
I'm not using a sheet at all. I don't have one for him.
I see. Well, let me fix that. Not NPCs. I need monsters.
Hey.
Monsters. I guess I don't have... Oh, I guess that's the same thing. Alright. Bats. Nope, that's a swarm of bats. There we go. I just need single bat. Muri, I am going to share this with... I cannot share this with you somehow. Interesting. Alright. Remind me after session. I'll find a way to get this to you so you can have it on your sheet. We may just have to make a special sheet for it. But it's... trying to think what I would roll here. It's stealth, certainly, but it's so hard to see when it's invisible. I mean, it's impossible, really, one might say. Oh, sure. Hang on a second. Let me give you the orphanage. Boom.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hey, Portly.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if we were hanging here for a while or moving on, so... You know what? I have an idea in my head, and I really would like you to roll for this since it's your familiar. Could you roll for me a d20, and I'm going to add its dexterity modifier for stealth.
Okay, so I just roll a straight d20, you add...
Plus, it's going to be +2. But keep in mind, it's super hard to see. So this isn't like if you roll horribly, it's... Okay, so 14.
You said it's a +2, right?
Correct. I'm sorry, 13. Yeah, sorry, Ross. I don't know why those corners are there. I'll fix that later. You
We
can't
don't
see
see
those?
corners.
Only I see them. That's good. I don't care if I see them.
I see them too.
Oh, well, only me and Blue see them. Because it's weird. I was just looking at what the stream sees, and they don't see it either. It's so weird, but that's fine. Anyway. An hour passes. And, Robin, Erdegar checks in and, communicates with you telepathically that there are roaming patrols of the Emperor's thugs on the streets. They get more numerous as you get closer to the Emperor's hideout, to the point where approaching the Emperor's hideout unnoticed would be very difficult. Not
Okay, so we
impossible,
go-
certainly, but very difficult.
He will relay that to everyone in the room as he gets the information. Just start kind of talking out loud.
And then he will fly off again. After about an hour and 5 minutes, Majenko flaps back into the orphanage. And he alights upon the table and says, I was undetected, but could not get everywhere I wished to go. Closed doors are difficult for one of my kind. But I have seen a good deal of the Emperor's hideout. And Majenko looks around and says, perhaps if I were to, I am not very skilled, but draw a crude drawing for you, it would do better than simply describing what I saw. He just looks around expectantly. I
feel like Moiri is a very lucky familiar haver, because she doesn't own him, that he draws pictures.
I mean, he's offering. You don't know if they're pictures yet.
Yeah, Amelia will give him some papers and like a pencil or something.
Well, Aras was gonna give him her protractor, which has a pencil on it, so, you know, ruler. He wants to draw straight lines, circles, you know. Drafting tools.
I will say, Murray, so that you know, I mean, a house drake is far more intelligent than the average familiar, so in a sense, you do. They're also not common familiars. He begins gripping the protractor awkwardly in his teeth and trying to scratch on the paper. And one of you ends up having to hold the paper because it keeps sliding. And what eventually is drawn is very crude. But, looks something like this.
Oh my god.
Gold
It's
star.
going on the fridge. I'm so proud of him.
And he eventually will spit the protractor out. Ross, I'm sorry, you've got teeth marks in your protractor now.
No,
it's
no.
okay.
And he will say, there is, for those of you who cannot fly, only one entrance that I found, though I imagine there would be more if you were to search hard enough and were lower to the ground. And he would say the main entrance is at the corner of this building. There are, of course, guards in there. You climb stairs on that building and you go across a rope bridge to another building much the same, with guards in it as well. This is where it gets difficult for me. I was able to slowly make my way around another rope bridge into a balcony, overseeing a large, flat area, he says with hesitation. I do not understand its purpose. It had strange markings and a cage on either side, but it was large, and overlooking it was a balcony with a throne upon which sat the Emperor, and next to him, and that's the blue thing here, and next to him was a very large contraption that looked like the face of a demon. As I watched, a luckless man's head was put through it, and the teeth were lowered, beheading the fool. Right there.
Wow.
Beyond the flat area, there are 2 rooftops from which I saw more thugs watching the spectacle. The only area I was unable to get into due to it being closed was behind the balcony. This area here. I do not know what lies there, but I did not find anyone that matches your description of the artist. I can tell you that this Emperor is very well protected. Were you to try to get to him, you would have to get through many of his people, unless you were stealthy or wise. And that's what a 13 gets you.
I'm feeling like we should take Portly and do the whole, like, Prince Ali from Aladdin.
Oh, I thought you were going to say try again with Portly.
No! I'm saying, like, a huge, giant spectacle. You know, of, like...
Majenko would inform you, the large dog would never fit inside those rooms or through those rope bridges.
Yeah, but...
I could summon a smaller Portly.
I don't think that, we would at least be able to get in stealthily. I think there's too many checks and too much room for nat ones or, you know, failure.
Majenko cocks his head.
Frames. Yeah. So I think at least at first we should go in and try to appeal to his twisted art nature.
Weary, who has been sitting back examining the drawing with soft eyes, leans back on the counter and says, "We know that this man enjoys games. This," and she taps the largest rectangle on the map, "is likely a game field. What are we going to do if he asks us to play?" Surely that would be the greatest spectacle of all. And if we are to go to him appealing to his... And she struggles for a word for a moment. Nature. We will not be in any position to deny him what he asks.
If we try to sneak in and we get caught, I think we would have even less negotiating power.
the question remains. If we are asked to play whatever games he has set, what are we going to do?
Did we know what game it was?
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't remember what it's called.
It's called
Something.
Blood Pig.
Blood.
That is all you know.
Yeah, it
Did
sounds
we
like a
roll
lovely
anything
game.
to know if any of us know what that is?
I would love to play the game if that's all right.
Or were
Robin.
there?
I believe you all rolled last time, but you know what? I'll let you
Oh.
guys roll again. It's not going to be an easy check because actually,
Well, here's
Okay.
something.
mm-hmm.
Mary will ask if Majenko saw anybody on the field. Like, were there people running around on it?
No. At the moment, there was an execution. Everyone's attention was there.
Okay.
Actually, I would say no. You wouldn't know, simply because this is a game that you've never heard of before.
I mean, yeah. Is the field like? Is it an open air field? Like
Yes,
that big
it's an
box?
open area. Yes, big field. I'll let you guys know just to put you at ease. It's a game he created.
Oh, great.
I don't know. I think the Paladins play it every Thursday.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Blood Pig.
Why do you
oh.
think they call it a? Why do you think they call it a pigskin? You know.
I'm wondering if like it's more of like a evening entertainment thing, so maybe we would be able to see it or whatever in the evenings or something. Like if it's a big arena, I just imagine there's a large crowd and it would make noise that we would hear. Because I don't think he's that far from the orphanage, right?
He's about 30-minute walk.
Just trying to think of a sports stadium. You can kind of hear it. I don't know about 30 minutes, though.
I'm going to assume this is less like football field and more like tennis court.
I'm thinking it's more like Knivesies, but way worse.
Well,
How do you get worse than
Knivesies
Knivesies?
takes place on top of a table also.
It's like Knivesies, but with giant axes.
Jesus.
I feel like the pig doesn't survive, and this is like a really weird way of like preparing a barbecue.
I mean,
Fine.
Somehow, I don't think a pig is involved.
Just the Hunger Games, guys.
I mean, you know, Robin, you said you would be intrigued.
Oh yes, I love games. When we were children, we used to levitate ourselves up over chasms and then fight it out until one of us lost. It was quite entertaining.
What?
And
I think everybody in the room is now staring at Robin.
He has this twinkle in his eye that is just screams childhood memories. He seems very excited about age.
I'm just curious as to how you determine which one is the victor.
The one who makes it back onto the ledge is the victor. The one who fell to never be seen is obviously the loser.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
So it is like to a death type thing.
He nods.
Wow. That sounds fun.
Rhea just stares at Ross.
I was like totally sarcastic.
I was really good at it. I haven't been very good at many surface games, but I'm willing to give this Blood Pig a try.
I'm sure it's right up your alley. Amelia's just staring off into the middle distance.
I mean, given his taste for art, I'm sure somehow this imitates it or is as equally graphic? Violent? What's the word?
I get the feeling that the losers do not survive.
Robin, I will tell you
Yeah?
you would know this much. If that were the case, there'd be no thugs left, as this game, you've at least see, the problem is you've seen and heard it played from a distance, right? But you've never gotten close enough to the hideout to know too much about it. But it's played constantly. He'd probably run out of thugs pretty quickly if they killed everyone that lost. Now, are
Yeah.
they punished? Who knows? But killed?
I doubt he's killing the losers. I'm not sure what happens to them, but it still seems like fun. He's not running out of men. He's smiling at Miri like, can we try this? Can I play the game? Can I?
Mom? Mom?
For the record, Mary looks just. She looks like that's a conversation we're going to have later. She shrugs. I think I would have to excuse myself where we asked to play. But I do want us to think about what our own personal answers would be where we asked. It is a very real threat.
Were that to happen, we could attempt to charm him in some way. I don't know how that would go over, but I don't think I'd like to play this game.
Well, hopefully we can avoid that.
That would be my preference, but if not, and Robin needs assistance, would help.
Is that a Ross saying that Robin needs therapy?
Oh my god.
Kind of.
Where's Julian when you need him?
I appreciate that. Hey, maybe Portly could play.
Maybe Kitty could help.
He's pointing at him like, this is a great idea. Come on, Mom.
Oh my god. If multiple people are needed for the game, then I'll help.
Well, all right. Blood Pig team of 3. No.
Robin is smiling ear to ear, just like nodding at you, like, yeah, we're a team.
Amelia's not making eye contact.
I'm so sad Baboom has gone home. Which, by the way, speaking of, since you guys are waiting another day and he is making another trip, is there anything else you would want him to bring? Speak now or forever hold your money.
Moral support, you know.
That's not for sale. That's because you're friends.
I'd like some chicken nuggets.
I don't have enough money for chicken nuggets.
Where do you access his stuff again?
I believe you guys already gave away the chicken nuggets.
That was not
I don't
chicken
think
food.
those were
Don't
chicken.
worry.
Yes, give me 1 second. I'll get you his.
I got it.
Oh, perfect. But yes, if there's anything, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. You know what? I will give you until he reappears, because moving forward, now that you guys have some information.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I do want to ask, what are we going to him with? Like, are we specifically just going up to him like, hey, we thought you're pretty cool, can we talk to Scream? Or like, are we gonna be like, hi, we want to form an alliance?
What are we using as a bargaining chip here?
What bullshit are we selling?
I was selling
like-
bamboo.
Oh, I like the idea of selling really awful graphic paintings that, like, we are a group from Chiliac, and we are coming in, and there's a new artist, and we heard that he might be something the Emperor would like.
And what are we doing in the middle of Old Corvosa during a quarantine?
Mori cocks her head, if that is the tact you plan to take.
We came here during the plague for inspiration.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That is quite
God.
literally what she was about to say.
Oh my god.
I
Dark.
mean, we are kind of surrounded by,
Lots
pretty
of morbid stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I like what you've done with the place.
Everyone needs straight black hair and eyeshadow.
Oh
Or
god.
eyeliner.
So
Right? I feel
Where's
like
Thea when you need her?
everybody needs a plague doctor mask.
you know, we should like go embrace the whole gothic, black robes, dark eyeshadow, doctor mask. Something.
mean,
But Boom
we
can
have,
do prestidigitation, right?
Yes, he can.
we
And
have
so
those magic
can
paints.
Robin.
Rhea can make clothes from the magic paint.
Make what? Clothes?
Clothes. Is
Make
that
some,
what we
like,
want to
dark
use?
clothing. No.
We could probably buy clothing for much cheaper than
Yeah,
say.
let's save that.
Yeah. I'd rather save it for, like, I don't know, painting a hole in a wall when we're stuck in a prison or something.
Looney Tunes logic.
I mean, it is
Or-
usable that way.
Oh shit, okay.
It creates whatever you paint. You paint a hole, a
Mhm.
hole appears.
Or say a rubber ducky for our comedy routine.
Yeah, in that case, if we're really going to sell like the creepy artist group vibe, like, then dark grungy clothes wouldn't. Well, no, because prestidigitation would just be able to like turn all of our clothes black, wouldn't it? It would just take a while.
It would. Well, so you can only have 3 castings of prestidigitation at once. You could turn 3 people's clothes black.
That's fine. We could buy black clothes from
Yeah.
Baboon.
Yeah, in that case. Oh, God, I miss orbs. In that case, we can have him bring some like dark, edgy clothes or something.
The dark, edgy clothes that Rhea's gonna wear under her bright, shiny armor.
That can be
We'll
part
put
of
a
what we
robe.
prestidigitate.
We'll put a cloak over your bright, shiny armor.
Can turn it into a black rose. Ooh.
Or I could just use the paints to make some dark armor.
Oh my god, you are so determined to use this paint.
I'm going to use the paint!
Ah!
Were there other non-magical paints?
No.
Yeah. No,
Mm-mm.
the magical ones.
Mhm.
That's all you found over there.
I mean,
make
we
some
can also have him
ash
bring
and-
some paint.
Yeah.
Some normal ass paint. I mean, that's what you're gonna need to use for the painting, anyways, isn't it? Or no, wait, did Ross? No, that wasn't.
No. Yeah, we're gonna have to get some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need edgy paint plus 2 charisma materia and edgy clothes.
Jesus Christ.
We're going through our goth phase, guys.
I'm so glad Rhea's family is in the other side of Corvosa.
It's gonna be great.
This is not the daughter I raised.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Why do you look like Camille?
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
Ross also wants some black hair dye.
Oh my god.
He's gonna embrace it.
Okay. Squee, the person, doesn't know how someone would dye their hair black in a fantasy world.
Robin interjects with some black ink and will offer to help coat her hair and rinse it out in the rain.
That'll work.
He used to dye his hair black for a very long period, and some black ink will work well.
Look
Whole
at
bottle,
that.
obviously.
Look at that. It's called teamwork, and it's beautiful.
Yay.
I was trying to think. I have like a Scrivener's kit, so that should have ink too, but I don't know if it had other colors.
I
Doubt it.
Usually just
don't
black
think
ink.
it would, yeah.
I think I got 1 or 2 on me, though. We can tell Baboon to bring me another replacement black ink. I add that to my list.
Gotcha. Your list isn't secret, right? You were just shooting that to me?
Yeah, no, I was
Okay,
just shooting it.
All right, so black ink and some gaseous form. So, like tacos. All right, so we need gothic style clothing. We need a materia +2.
Yes.
There's
Should we
75
get
gold
2,
apiece.
Or yeah.
Let's just get 2. Why not?
Alright.
2 charisma. Gotcha.
Two plus 2 charisma.
Black ink paints for the painting with bold colors.
Do we need
have a canvas? Yeah.
You do not have a canvas.
Did we take any of the paintings from the Salvador Screams place?
Robin did.
Are
Robin
you gonna
clutches
try
one
to
in his
convince
backpack.
Robin to let us paint over that?
Yeah, there's no way we can get him to let us do that.
Robin, it'll still be there underneath.
No.
Okay, a long time ago, we had this giant circus canvas tarp.
Yeah, but that was colored by the kids. We can't paint over that.
I'm sure they didn't use all of it. Are there like pieces that we could cut out and then properly frame? the
No,
canvas?
they're kids. They colored all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you give kids some paint, they'll go to town.
Okay, so black canvas, not black. To the shopping list.
I don't know, a black canvas might be really goth.
Yeah, but it's also going to be really hard to paint on.
Mm.
Depends what kind of
I mean,
paint.
You put on a black coat first, and then put your reds and stuff on from there, so... You know, can do it that way. Not that I've ever done that. Why were people wanting chalk? Wasn't there something mentioned earlier about colored
Oh,
chalk?
I was making jokes because we were saying that it was craft time with Rhea, and I said next episode she crushes up some chalk and colors Portly with it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't like
Yeah,
something
no, we don't need chalk.
Are you sure? What about alchemy circles?
I mean, I have 4 pieces of chalk. No, I have 2
Pieces of
pieces
chalk,
of chalk.
not alchemy circles. Okay.
Oh.
All
Okay.
right.
What else do we need? Okay, to pull off this deception, wouldn't we need like a parasol or a fan? I mean,
Jesus Christ.
You're really
I don't
going
think
full
so.
cosplay.
we have to sell it.
One of us is gonna be the gothic Lolita, guys.
Gonna be the gothic what?
Lolita.
One of you is gonna be the Versailles. What is it? The Japanese rock band that dresses like 17th century vampires.
Yep, that's where.
Are you okay?
Yep.
That's exactly why I was thinking of the parasols and fans. And you
Our
know
family,
who I'd be
yep.
talking about, Steven.
Our family's odd. All right. So, to move things on just a little bit,
Mhm.
you can definitely get those items. So canvas. Oh, back. I thought that said black. Sorry, that was just Murray saying she was back. Canvas, paints, black ink, +2 materia, 2 of them. Gothic clothing of some kind. Potion of gaseous form, more black ink. Okay. If you think of something before Baboon returns, just let me know. I will add it to the list. For the time being, though, the rest of the day... well, first let me cover this. Erdegar checks in once every hour and stays out for as long as you will him to. His information does not change much other than to let you know that the numbers of patrols does not seem to wane as the passage of the day goes into night.
After a few hours, I call him back. I don't want him out there. It's rainy and sad.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is very rainy and sad. You're even every so often now in the distance hearing lightning and thunder. Just once every hour or so, and it's very distant, but you hear it.
I will let him in to warm up and dry off.
Okay. You guys spend the rest of the day, really in peaceful, if maybe tense, um, relaxation. I guess might not be the right word to use, but at least, um,
Uh,
you have a fairly uneventful day as far as the world is concerned. Yes.
Ross is up in the attic, building stuff.
Yes. Let me know what you want to put that towards, and I will. Because you can have a full 8 hours to work on something.
Okay. We can figure that out later.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure we'll make food for all of you. And as the day draws to a close, you all know that you're going to have to try and get some sleep if you want to be fresh, bright, and early in the morning.
Oh. Is there any like hollowed ground?
All over the world. Could you be a bit more
Like-
specific?
In Old Corvosa?
Yeah, in old Corvosa.
No.
No, okay.
The only hollowed ground that you could think of would be the Shrine of Sarenrae and the Grey Lands that the clerics keep in the graveyard. Might be a section of the academy that's hollowed grounds just for experimentation reasons, but that's about it.
Okay.
I mean, if you really need to like cozy up to a god, Mary does have a tiny shrine to CERN, right?
No, it's okay. It was more about dreams and stuff.
Gotcha.
I don't know why that's a problem.
It's not a problem. It just can prevent against being frightened. And block some of the
I
effects.
can't imagine anyone needing that. No, unfortunately, Sib, there's not an Old Corvosa. It is the poorest of the poor part of town, and it is dangerous enough that it is not something that most religions make permanent residence in. Even Weary had to travel to the Highlands to visit her shrine. Yes, Robin. And Amelia. Let me do Amelia first. Amelia.
Oh, Amelia was gonna do the thing with Annika, but Robin can do whatever he's doing first.
Okay, gotcha. Robin.
I only want it stated that I'm going to put Erdegar inside tonight. He did me a huge favor flying around, and I
Okay.
want him to keep an eye on the girls and make patrols between and make sure they're sleeping all right. And if they get disturbed, I want him to notify me immediately. Any sort of restless dreaming, and I will position myself back outside.
I see. Okay. Amelia.
Yep. So at some point, before bed, Amelia would go outside, and close the door and kind of stand on the porch for a moment, next to Robin, and it's fairly clear that she's a little nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And after a little bit, she opens her mouth to say something and then closes it, and then opens it again and says, there's some, and after a bit, she just, like, sighs, and Annika, manifests, beside her. She wishes to, talk with you.
He tilts his head from where he's pretending to sleep and kind of glances up and nods and stands up fully to face Amelia and Annika.
Amelia is quiet for a moment and then says, This is my sister, Annika.
Robin offers a hand, takes a bow.
Just to let you know, because I don't think we quite covered this part of it, given the relationship between you and Annika and what you're capable of, I will not only allow, but would love for you to fully play both.
Oh, okay.
Because it would be weird if you play her when you do things, but not when you don't. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, she gives you a very bright smile and offers her hand as well. And does she actually feel solid, or?
That's what I'm testing.
Go ahead.
Helps if I'm not muted. There is resistance, but she is not solid. So, Robin, you feel resistance, but your hand passes through.
He tries to pause when he feels the resistance to give, to try and make it feel like she feels like she's real.
She frowns a little bit and then sighs, and as she sighs, you see black smoke kind of come out of the cut in her neck, and she turns to Amelia and gives her a look. And Amelia looks over at her and sighs and nods, and Annika disappears. And Amelia straightens up and gives you a very uncharacteristically bright smile and says, "Well, this should be a little easier." And she holds out her hand. "My name is Annika."
He switches location of his to hers, makes sure that she feels very real, and announces, Rovathrices Famesabar, second son. Is Amelia aware of everything right now?
She is. It's not as if I've drowned her out or anything, just tucking herself away for a little bit.
He nods and is just intensely interested, darting his vision from one eye to the other, and almost seems like this mild excitement that he tenses without his...
She tilts her head a little bit and says, "You aren't frightened of me at all, are you?"
Oh no, quite the contrary. Could I ask you some questions? Would that be alright? He stands up straight.
Her smile goes wide. "Absolutely. I was actually hoping you would. I don't get to talk to many people these days."
To warn you, fair, it is about your current state. Are you comfortable with that?
She starts to answer with a smile and then pauses, and the smile falters a little bit. And for a moment, you're pretty sure she's having a conversation to herself, and then she smiles again and goes, "Yes, I'm quite fine with that."
How did you gain this state? Did she kill you or someone else?
The smile loses just a teeny tiny bit of the shine, and she gestures down at the porch and says, "Do you mind if we sit?"
Absolutely. And he actually will take off one of his upper layers of cloak, keep his mount bank on, and lay it on the ground, actually.
"Oh, such a gentleman." And she'll sit down on it. She crosses her legs and kind of sits back on her hands and says, "She didn't kill me. No, that was, I suppose, my husband and then my father-in-law's doing. She is the one who preserved me, I suppose."
So are you an apparition, a haunting, displaced soul, revenant? What are you?
She thinks for a moment and finally says, I'm not entirely sure. I suppose, technically a remnant of myself. There are still a piece missing, but we'll find that soon enough.
It might be wrong to ask, but have you two ever thought about separation?
It hasn't casually come up. No.
He has just this broad, awkward, almost sparkling smile across his face, and it's all, if it ever does come up, let me know. I think I could help your situation. Are you bound to a part of her? Or he leans back and kind of holds his arms open.
She raises a brow a little bit and says, we are bound, I suppose you could say, by the soul. We were twins originally. It wasn't that much of a diversion.
So it could be more complicated if your two souls are wrapped together. That would be hard to sever. And he kind of puts a knuckle in his mouth, begins to look around in his lap as if he's thinking through.
Would you be able to bring me back?
He looks up with this, again, brightness about him and nods and says quite firmly, oh yes, I think I could fix your state.
Her face goes from shock to just the biggest, brightest smile you have ever seen on Amelia. And granted, that's not hard to beat, but this is incredibly just out of place from what you've seen of her. And she leans forward and takes your hands in hers. And she says, I would appreciate that. We would appreciate that so much. I need the last piece of me, but absolutely anything you can do. What would it require?
He nods. Is Amelia able to feel physically?
Unfortunately for Amelia, yes. Any pain or sensation that is rendered onto the body is always Amelia's to endure. Annika can never truly feel it.
Yes, she's living through proxy right now.
Okay.
Right. She's puppeteering.
He kind of cautiously looks down at her hands and then to his, little bit like, oh, am I doing something unwanted here? For just a second. And then begins to kind of tap a finger against his collarbone as if he's thinking and he needs to pace, and begins to kind of wiggle in his seat and says, usually by trauma, if your body dies and a soul was already displaced for whatever reason, we could seek out a container. We take a number of materials that I haven't found in such quite some time, but here's the catch. Usually for that spell, it's a high-level wizard in a container. It's not common to have your soul entwined with another being, but I do also know that my method is more crude and probably unacceptable to your companions, as you would need to find someone able to go through an unsurmountable amount of pain before they die, and you can inhabit their body. It's a very difficult process. It could take years. I want you to understand that. I've never tried it. Sorry if I got carried away.
She shakes her head fervently and goes, No, anything that we can learn about this. I didn't actually think I would get a second chance to begin with through Amelia, and the thought that I would be able to get a second chance to live as myself, that's incredible.
I'm sorry if I bothered you about that situation. I'm glad I made you happy, but I do note that it does make you upset, so I do wish to apologize for that. You can talk to me anytime.
She gives his hand a squeeze and just shakes her head again and says, "You hardly upset me. To be honest, this is the longest conversation I've had with anyone but Amelia." And she looks off into the distance for a moment. Oh, God. 3 years? It's honestly a relief. You don't need to apologize for that.
He nods and squeezes her hands back and leans in to make eye contact with her and smiles as kindly as he can without showing fang and says, "I completely understand."
Oh boy. Hang on 1 second. Let me just. Oh boy. So she watches you, and it's like borderline bedroom eyes for like 0.2 seconds, and then her face just flushes red and the smile drops, and it's very clearly Amelia again, and she kind of stumbles back.
He holds her hand and asks, "So are you going to tell me about the face paint yet?"
She tries to speak and just stammers and stutters over herself. Oh, it's just face paint.
People
She
don't
looks off
wear
to the sides.
people don't wear face paint like that.
I'm gonna need a deception check for that, please.
He knows she's lying.
I do.
Oh, yeah, but okay. You know what? Fair point.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna give it to him. There's
I'm-
no way.
I'm just gonna step back into the ether over here.
Let me just step back. Okay, all right. One more thing. She is very quiet for a moment, and her face is still bright red. And she closes her eyes and takes a breath, and she pulls back her hood and unwraps her scarf, and she steps out into the rain. And she, as the water is just pouring down on her, she faces Robin and runs a hand down her neck, removing most of the blue paint. And underneath it are these ugly, dark, black, almost purple discolorations and bruises. It looks like someone strangled her. And she stands there just kind of shaking in the rain and not meeting his gaze.
He gives it a minute, and then he's going to get up and shake off his cloak and switch it out for one of his cleaner ones and walk out there and put it over her head and escort her back underneath the awning.
Before they go back, she kind of takes his hand and kind of tries to pull him to a stop.
Stops.
She's quiet for a few seconds more and finally says, Since we're being honest, I suppose, it started when I pulled Annika to me. It's been spreading ever since, and I don't know if it will stop.
Can I Arcana the shit out of this?
Yes, you can.
And nobody knows.
She shakes her head.
All right. Here's what you know out of arcaning the shit out of that. In your experience, which you have some in this field, certainly, whenever there is a joining, an intertwining of souls done incorrectly, novicely, without skill or expertise, they can sometimes start to blend and bleed into each other, meaning that the soul, the undead that is attached to the living body, can slowly consume it.
Can they be separated?
Yes.
Or is that just,
The answer is yes, though, again, with a joining done, had this been done by a lich or certain individuals from your past, the path would be simple. But much like a mechanic that puts something together without really knowing what they're doing, this is much more complicated because it's done in strange, unusual ways, and the methods may not be the same. Is it doable? You're certain. How? That's going to take some work.
Robin tugs her hand a little bit and is going to try and get her out of the rain. And as they're moving through the rain, he will keep his voice and he will state, I will figure out how to fix both of you. Just give me time. I think your sister's bleeding through. And then get her onto the porch. Look at her like she's a dumb girl and be like, do you have any more face paint you can now cover yourself with? You're all wet and it's not gonna
Yeah, Amelia wraps her scarf back around her neck to cover up pretty much the whole thing and hands him back his cloak and nods, and she starts to turn back towards the door and then pauses and says, Thank you. Both of us.
He crosses his arms over his chest and bows, looking not at her eye, and then stands up and sits back down at his spot. Settles in.
And
Alright.
Amelia scurries inside and goes to bed.
And everyone settles down for the evening. Oh, this is the fun part. Rhea,
How did I know?
you, with hesitancy, I assume, drift off to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And, you sleep, you slumber dreamlessly for a time, and then you find yourself back home, in the castle, in the tower, in your room, on your bed, reading books, books of brave heroes and other paladins. And you do so for some time, undisturbed, not realizing there's anything wrong or anything different, and you look up eventually as you hear a knock and your father comes in the room. He looks not as you remembered him when he was younger, but as he looks now. And he says, "Hello, dear. I am touching your dreams. Shellen spoke to me as I prayed, saying that you are going through terrible times and that you could use comfort." And he will sit down beside you. "Has someone been invading your dreams?"
She will look down for a moment and nod. It's Shala, her sister.
He nods, and then tilts your head up with his hand under your chin. "You care for her very greatly, don't you? This must be so hard for you."
It is.
"My sweet daughter, I am so sorry I cannot be with you right now. But I can offer this. For tonight, no one will touch your dreams but me." And then he hugs you.
Rhea will just hug him back as tight as she can.
And for your entire slumber, it is filled with a dream with your father inside your old room, reading books of heroes and glorious tales. And true to his word, no one else touches your dreams. Hang on one second. Sorry, I gotta read something real quick here. Sib, that is correct, which means that if you can get help, you would be able to finish it. Robin,
Yes,
you're outside,
Yep.
just minding your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Erdegar is inside, yes?
Correct. Watching them.
Gotcha. Give me a second here. Roll me a perception check.
Okay.
It might be worth noting that Majenko does whatever Majenko wants, so he might be outside.
That seems about right, though.
Does, doesn't it? Go ahead and roll me a
Yeah.
perception check for Majenko at disadvantage. Wait, hang on. Majenko has night vision? Hang on. Let me check something real quick. Bats. Do bats have... they have blind sight, which is not the same thing. So roll it at disadvantage, please. Which is incredibly useful unless you're trying to see things. But if you're trying to tell where things are, it's fantastic.
Well, you do know that pseudo dragons
Mm-hmm.
have their own sheet.
Do they? That would be very
Yes,
helpful. Give me a second.
senses, blind sight 10 feet, dark vision 60 feet.
Oh, okay.
perception
Then
13.
roll me perception for him without disadvantage.
And
I thought that was much more appropriate.
His wisdom's a +1.
Gotcha. So then it would just be roll me a d20 plus 1. Oh,
Oh,
no.
well,
He is very proud of what he drew earlier.
so you can be inside looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Robin, the rain is heavy in the streets, and you are vigilantly staring outside, but your mind wanders, perhaps due to the conversation you've had recently, perhaps to ways of helping. Perhaps
Oh
not.
shit.
Only you would
Hold
know.
on. Wait, hold on.
Hmm?
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna drop something in the chat.
Okay. Oh. Roll me another, please.
I'm sorry, I just read that. It didn't help, but you
Didn't
know
help.
what? I did have to try.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It did not help, though. And you are suddenly brought out of your musings as you see a form standing out in the rain on a muddy street with a cowl over their head. Hello again.
He immediately stands and takes a full bow. And he's going to go out and escort her somewhere where it is not raining on her poor head. Oh, these chicks and standing in the rain. We're all gonna get sick.
She lets you take her hand and pulls down her hood, and you see that her face is agitated. Roll me an insight check. Oh, wow. She seems very nervous and agitated, which you have never seen before. And she goes, when last we spoke, you mentioned the mother. You worship her?
I do.
She nods and closes her eyes. Damn. She opens her eyes again. Robin. Second son, I have someone who dearly wishes to speak to you. I must touch your thoughts. But you have my word. I will do you no harm. I have but to deliver the messenger.
He nods and removes his hoods.
She hesitantly, and she's very off her game, would be the word I would use. When you read her last time, she was cool, serene, and fully in control. Now, she looks like someone struggling to maintain that control and not quite making it.
Oh man, Robin's resisting just that sick smile he wants to make that he can't, so he's trying real, but he's so entertained and into this.
She reaches up and touches your head and closes her eyes. Robin, your senses are assaulted by power. And a voice creeps into your mind. Drow male. I've come to speak to you. Some call me handmaiden, demon, Yocklol. You call me master. It seems to be waiting for a response.
Any resistance he had, he fully gives himself over to this and acknowledges and says, "Yes, master." Just immediate snap to it.
Good. I have been called from my obligations, for one as worthless as you. Because the mother has a task for you, Drow. There is a man held by a foolish mortal in Old Quavosa who fancies himself an emperor. This man, this Scream, he holds information that is dangerous to Mother. You are to find him. You are to kill him before he can speak to anyone. Do you understand?
Yes, Master.
Good. For if you should fail, and Robin, your mind is racked with crippling pain, and out of the edges of your mind, you can see Camille is suffering it as well. And in an instant, Camille lets go of your head, breathing hard and looking down.
Robin stumbles back and just starts laughing in this. Throws his arms open and just feels fully and completely exhilarated by this pain.
Is he loud?
Oh yes.
I'd like everyone
He has zero control.
I'd like everyone to roll me perception checks, please. Uh-huh. All right. Rhea, Muri, you definitely wake up hearing Robin laugh loudly downstairs. And Robin, as you laugh, you hear a hiss. Silence! You'll wake them.
He stops and wobbles and says quickly with his breath, "Our deals are broken. The mother asked me a favor, and at the moment I must serve Muri. I apologize. Maybe I will find you later. I am so sorry for your pain."
Serving.
Thank you.
The mother is serving us. Don't you understand? You are ours, Robin. The deal has changed. And she sees sound from inside and pulls up her hood and quickly storms off into the rain.
He is laughing and wobbling like a drunken madman as he's trying to regain himself in the street, just overly ecstatic, racked with pain, completely overtaken by his own senses, by his blood, essentially.
Right. I'm assuming, Muri, Rhea, you would be coming to investigate?
Yup.
We'll say about this time you're able to get out onto the porch. You see Robin.
Weary would keep Rhea behind her.
Okay.
And would be in underclothes, shirtless because, she's a bird, wielding a mace, and would step out onto the porch.
You see Robin swaying back and forth, laughing.
She will glance back to Rhea, stay inside, and will carefully pick her way barefoot through the mud puddles over to Robin.
Stay inside.
Is Rhea gonna stay inside? you rolling?
I got a 19. It's giving me disadvantage because of the armor.
No, 19 is fine. You rolled well. You're not wearing armor.
Rita's not staying inside. Rita wants
Murray-
to know what's going on.
Murray, with your attention so drawn, you don't realize Rhea quietly slipped back out.
But Murray will go join Robin in the street and very carefully approach him. Robin.
He whirls on her, and it takes a minute for his eyes to focus. He stumbles forward a few steps, and then falls to his knees in front of you, panting.
She catches him as he falls. Do I have to roll for that?
No. That's fine. You both sink to your knees.
Into the mud.
Mm-hmm. A crack of lightning above your head.
And she will very carefully take his face in her claws. Robin.
He doesn't respond in words that you can understand. He does, however, rattle on.
Oh no, you faded out after he rattles off.
Perfect timing.
He rattles off, that's it.
Nothing in drow.
Okay, sorry, you cut out after he rattles off. Oh no.
There she goes.
Robin's gone! After him!
Robin disappears.
Fixed.
Okay.
Gotcha.
He
Robin's-
rattles something off in drow.
Robin's running through the streets!
It's gone!
Gotcha. So in a language you have not heard before, Murray.
And Weary answers in a language Robin probably does not understand. And it's almost so low you can't hear it, but you feel it where you're touching Weary. And it sounds almost like thunder rumbling. And she neatly stands up, picks Robin up, and goes inside.
He
Passing Rhea.
He struggles from being picked up and will pull her back to be like, I'm fine. I'm alright.
No, you're being picked up. I'm sorry.
Alright, roll me a contesting strength check. Robin, you can do strength or acrobatics. Athletics
Okay.
from you, Murray.
I already have the D20 picked up for strength.
Oh, that's
Just a
fine.
regular
That's fine.
strength check.
Yeah. I think it's the
Yeah.
same for you either way. Oh my
I got
gosh.
him.
So, Robin, you are picked up.
He starts laughing maniacally as she's carrying him and being like, this is completely unnecessary.
She gives him. She glances down at Robin, but doesn't say anything.
Is he alright?
Murray sort of adjusts her grip. That, I believe, remains to be seen. He is unharmed, from what I can tell.
So you both move inside.
Are you going to set me down somewhere anytime soon?
And Murray does not answer and carries him up the stairs.
You know, the last person that carried me was a barbarian. He's just going on it as he was being carried.
Is he gonna get tucked into bed? He can't sleep.
Are you gonna get him a teddy? I'm sorry, Murray. Please continue.
Who's in the main room, by the way?
I think we're all in one room.
I would imagine Ross never actually rolled a perception check, so I'm assuming she is way too busy to have noticed the first one, but I gotta imagine she would have noticed by now that there's a ruckus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I
the next-
re-roll my
the-
perception?
No. I believe in common sense. At some point, the doors opening and closing, and Robin laughing and talking at full volume would wake you all.
Ross was, she was like watching from out the window in the attic. So, and
Just watching
and,
Robin out there in the rain.
when Robin comes outside or inside, she tells Kitty to go sit out on the porch on guard.
Kitty
duty.
dutifully makes her way through the door, pulls open the
No.
latch.
No, Mary is not going to put him in bed. I'm assuming that there is a washroom of some kind on both floors.
Yes.
I don't think I put it into the floor plan.
Chillins need baths. That is certainly true.
Yes. So she will carry him up there and set him neatly on the floor and begin running hot water. Or
As you
whatever
begin-
water she can get her hands on.
When you start walking in the bathroom, he's like, "You have bathtubs. I didn't know you had a bathtub."
Bathtubs. Ria's just standing in the doorway watching him.
And
Amelia,
and Mary adjusts her grip and says, "Yes, I'm afraid I don't use them."
Amelia just peeks her head out of the door and just frowns at Rhea, just like, what is happening?
Ria just shrugs.
Once Robin sat down, he'll get out some perfumes he has, some oils, and offer them to Miri. Like, if I'm getting a bath, we're doing this.
Oh my god. Incredible.
Oh, he seems like a kid on Christmas morning.
So, Murray, we'll say that you get hot water in there. Probably using a bit of thaumaturgy or something to heat it up. I don't really know how baths work back then, but I'm not stopping narrative for you to go get barrels of water or something. So you're able to get a bathtub filled.
Fireball.
Fireball. Cast underwater just to heat it up, like burning hands underwater.
Small stoves in the bathroom.
Yeah. You're able to
Or
get.
magic. That works too, yeah.
It takes a few minutes, of course.
Yeah, but she is most interested in getting Robin clean, and she is also covered up to the knee in mud.
Mm-hmm.
But she is more focused on Robin.
So here's the question: bathtub's full. What are you doing? Dunking him in there, clothes on, and everything?
He prestidigitates both of them before she gets a chance, first of all.
Washing him and his.
I'm washing me and my clothes.
So as you're trying to get the bath ready, Robin just starts prestidigitating himself and you clean, which is much faster than a bath.
Now, I accept this, and I'm not going to waste your water or anything, but I'd prefer to undress myself.
Murray looked a very tired twinkle in her eye. I think you and I would both appreciate that. Take a bath, get warm, and then come talk to me.
He summons Erdegar.
Erdegar appears.
During his bath, he's going to not tell Erdegar what's exactly happened, but exclaim that they've been chosen, that it's finally time, and that he was noticed. Just be giddy about it, and actually every now and then start talking to himself in Drow and just like splashing in the water like a...
Erdegar eyes you with some confusion. This is... Robin has always been upbeat, or not always, but many times been upbeat, but this is euphoric. Erdegar's not quite used to this. The rest of you. Robin is taking a bath in the bathroom alone. What are you doing?
About what time of night is it?
Oh, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
Gotcha. Mary will, advise the rest of them to go to bed, but we'll head downstairs and put on a kettle.
What do the rest of you do? Portly
Or
goes back to
Ross.
sleep, that's for sure.
Or Ross stays like hanging half in the window, half out, just kind of watching since Robin isn't.
I see what you mean. Yeah, gotcha.
Amelia's going back to bed.
All right. What about Rhea?
Rhea's gonna. Robin's in like the upstairs bathroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rhea's gonna chill out near the
Battery
guess, like-
low.
opposite the door, waiting for him to come out.
Gotcha. I will say as well that with the exception of Aras, who worked late into the night, and Aras, you'll need to sleep a bit more to get your full rest.
Sure.
Everyone else will have slept enough to get their minimum 6 hours for a long rest.
I mean, Ross isn't gonna stay the whole night. She's just gonna stay there
Charging
for like
battery.
a little while
Sure.
and everything. And she knows that if something happens, Kitty will warn her. But she just wants to make sure there's nobody else looking around to cause trouble for like an hour or so, and then she'll
Gotcha.
eventually go back.
And we'll say that you were working late to put the finishing touches on your item, and it is now ready.
Okay.
Yes, Amelia.
Since she's technically a spoopy ghost, I'm guessing Annika doesn't really need to sleep, correct?
Correct.
So Amelia's going to have her just kind of sit in the shadows of the shingles, all invisible like, and keep an eye out. And if Amelia's going to keep her window a little bit cracked, and if anything pops up, she's gonna have her wake her up.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, Annika doesn't sleep. Have we never talked? I always imagine when Amelia's sleeping, Annika's hovering horizontally a few inches above her, just looking at her.
Just super bored out of her mind. Yeah, there's a reason she has a hard time sleeping.
Poking her once in a while. Gotcha. So, Rhea and Weary, you are up for the moment. And like I said, you've had enough to get your long rest. Especially you, Rhea. You've had the most restful sleep you've had in days. As no tricks, no Camille popping up at the end. It really was your father using a similar spell to actually give you reprieve for once and comfort.
Thanks, Dad.
Is Rhea downstairs with Mary?
Yes. No,
Rhea's
Rhea's
upstairs.
upstairs in the bathroom. Near the
Oh,
bathroom.
that's
Not
right.
in the bathroom. In the bathroom.
Wait, what?
No, near the bathroom. So, Robin, you take a bath. You mumble to yourself.
Oh, he sings pirate shanties to himself. He's entertained. He swishes water. He chants little prayers in his language. He boops Erdegar on the nose once with suds. He actually lets his hair down. And by the time he's come out, he's prestidigitated every single item in his bag, his backpack, all of his clothes a second time, and has it all kind of shoved hanging around his bag strap across his shoulder. He's wearing his pants barefoot, and all of his hair, which goes about 4 feet past his feet, is just piled in his arms where he intends to go sit somewhere and brush it.
Jesus Christ.
Rhea, you've been around the orphans enough to know that it sounds like a kid's taking a bath in there.
Rhea's just very confusedly looking at the door. Like, what the hell is going on behind there?
So he opens the door like that, and you also note that there's a giant black spot burned across the center of his chest, and his left shoulder has been just melted down, it looks like, by maybe something hot that has burned halfway down his chest and his shoulder, and he is just dented with what looks like arrows that have been just pulled out, and gash marks and blade wounds just all over him, stacking kind of one on top of another.
He pauses a little bit wide-eyed.
Having fun?
Did you... Sorry, was I taking it up?
No. I was waiting for you, actually.
He sends Erdegar to keep making rounds on all the individuals to make sure they're sleeping okay. Free to talk.
Robin, what happened out there?
Something very personal and extremely exciting to me. I'm sorry, I get carried away sometimes. Emotions hit me a little stronger than it does most people.
I see. Is this... You... alright, then?
Absolutely, I am. I'm sorry to have worried you. And he takes a bow and has to readjust the bag on his shoulder twice so it doesn't fall over in front of him. What are you doing up? You should have gone back to bed. Sorry, I can be noisy sometimes. I'm not really used to more people.
It's just... strange, I suppose. You were out in the middle of the street, laughing to yourself.
He nods and that smile kind of spreads across his face. He says, I'm alright now. It was just a little off behavior. It won't happen often, trust me.
Did you say it will or it won't?
Won't.
Oh, gotcha.
It will happen often.
I'm gonna do this all the time.
Splashes water at Rhea.
Oh boy. Splashes water back.
Miri wants to see me. Sorry if I held you up.
No, it's fine. And she will give him a small smile and motion for him to get towards the stairs, I guess.
Sure.
Good night, Robin.
Good night. And he stops and seems like he has something else he wants to say and then shakes his head and waves a hand dismissively. Never mind. And goes down the stairs. Quite chipperly, one step at a time.
Does he still have all of his fucking hair piled up in his hands?
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. So, Larry sees a shirtless Robin coming down the fucking stairs.
With just... I'm sorry, the amount of damage and scarring and devastation to his upper chest is beyond what most men would be able to endure, much less walk normally.
So she watches silently for a moment, just waiting for him.
He puts his stuff down on the table and turns towards her and spins the chair around and sits down with the back facing her. Slinks both arms over the back and smiles. Alright, I'm ready. Do your worst.
There's a soft, tired huff of laughter. And Mary sets a cup of steaming tea in front of Robin with honey and a twist of lemon in it, and says, "One moment." And she will disappear upstairs and reappear shortly with a hairbrush.
Rolling for initiative. No, just kidding.
No. As you roll, do I have to roll for...
No.
I believe you rolled for this,
she attacks for the hairbrush to brush his hair.
No.
No.
Oh, man.
No, I believe we had rolled to see how good Mary is at hairbrushing once.
We had
and,
once, yes.
I rolled a nat 20.
Yes, I'm not gonna. You know what? It's been a long time, but I'm gonna carry that over. Your skill with the hairbrush is spoken about in the halls of hairbrush. I don't know. Just yes, you're very good.
Gotcha. So she will offer her hands as kind of a give it here motion.
He literally kind of just pulls a chair over and puts the entire bundle on the chair and begins to slowly work his fingers through meticulously at the top as if to intend to try.
Gotcha. So Mary starts at the bottom and starts. Alright, Rhea. Tearing it up on the pan flute upstairs.
Never you mind. You carry on.
Nice.
I'm assuming they sit quietly for a while Mary gets started.
He waits, he doesn't say anything. He just smiles to himself.
After a while, she looks up at him. You have lived a hard life, haven't you?
It has been a life. I wouldn't call it. Alright, it's been hard. Why should that matter? And he kind of chuckles.
Moira cocks her head. Why shouldn't it matter?
Everyone lives a hard life.
She shakes her head. Everyone lives life, but the troubles one goes through, they vary from person to person. But this, and she reaches out and trails a claw over, not quite touching, but like just over the skin that's just scarred beyond belief. This was harder than most men could bear.
He smiles and looks over his shoulder as if he can see them and asks, which one?
Oh, do they have names or stories?
Oh, every single one of them has a story.
There's a soft rattling laugh. They are yours to tell or to keep secret.
Ah, if you want to hear. This, and he leans over to a side where there's 3 large rakes through the number of arrow marks and tiny little slashes. And there's just 3 extremely large marks and then a few more on his upper chest on the left-hand side. And says, it's from my friend Daryl, who took it upon himself to become a werewolf for a time being. It was his thing to a goddess, and let me tell you, keeping him under control was... If you ever wrestled a werewolf, Mary, it is extremely difficult. Let's see. This, when he points to a shoulder where there's a brighter stab wound that looks more recent, probably within more years than the other ones that have faded into just a mass, was from an aunt. Basically, I was going to marry a wood elf. I lived with them for a few years, and she decided to do better things with her life than waste her time with me. Anyways, when I met her aunt, this was the first thing she did rather than speaking to me. You can only understand their fear, as many's. And this, and he points to the big mass across his shoulder. I was stupid and I set off a trap. Had some acid pour on me. Went straight through my clothes, my armor, everything. He kind of looks down at himself. I could keep going all night, but I'm assuming this is not what you want to talk to me about.
And Mary sighs and sits back on her heels. Your life is your own, Robin. And I cannot ask. I cannot ask what I have no business asking. I only wish to know if you're all right.
He turns to face her, and he smiles and places a hand on her, wherever she's brushing at that point, and makes eye contact with her beautiful big black eyes. And I'm sorry I got a little excited earlier. I am all right. I actually, at this point in my life, am better off than I think I have ever been. You do not have to worry anything about me. And I appreciate
She cocks
it.
her head. She cocks her head, and when Mori cocks her head, it goes completely sideways. And you see her eyes crinkle up the corners. You know, I find that the people who say most often that one shouldn't worry about them are the ones I end up worrying about the most. I'm glad you're all right, Robin.
So you're saying I can expect more concern from you? Because I'm getting really used to it. It's quite comfortable. I'm enjoying this. And he motions to the hair being brushed. And this, and he motions to the conversation between them.
And the brightness in her eyes dims a little bit. I am only sorry it is not something that you have had in your life before.
I've had a few years here and there. They were incredible. I can tell you at least that much.
And she levels a look at you, and there's something deeply discerning in there. There are ages in your eyes that I do not understand, but I hope, at least, that what time you spend with us will be good. I am glad you are in a good place in your life.
Yuri, I need to tell you something, and I can't give you any more information than I'm about to. You can ask, but I can't. Are you ready?
Mori nods. You may tell me anything you like. And as promised, I will ask no question.
Camille's Van Carlo.
She closes her eyes. I had feared as much.
He presses his lips together as if he's not sure what to say after that.
Murray, now that you have spent some time very close and he has pointed out these scars, I would like you to make a medicine check for me.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. No living man could suffer these wounds. The wounds that are on his chest would kill someone. And you are quite sure of that.
She's sure it would kill someone, but she also knows very little about Drow. He might be hiding something that she doesn't know about, so she's not gonna ask. This is probably the first Drow that Mary has ever met.
Gotcha. So then what we'll say is, in your medical experience, you do not know a single race that could survive these wounds. This might be a new one. Or it might not.
She nods, and she runs her eyes over Robin in a very analytical glance, and it's quite clear that there is a healer's mind at work here. But she doesn't ask anything.
I'm sorry if it upsets you. And he starts digging through his stuff to get his boots and socks and shirt and gloves and all of his actual clothing off of the table.
She has not upset me, Jack.
He nods, but he begins to wait to put on his shirt and is slowly pulling on socks and
Robin, roll me
oh, sorry, go ahead.
real quick. Yeah, just roll me a knowledge history check.
Me?
No, sorry, Robin. Sorry, make that nature. I think is it the same?
No, my nature's a little lower. It's, I think, 3 lower.
Oh, that's still plenty. You don't know tons about Kadal, but you have, in your travels, met a few and learned some of them. You do know that when a Kadal calls you child, they do not mean it in the sense that many races do. They are not considering themselves older or above, or that you are younger. They say that in a way of, we are all children of the world. It means something very different for them. It's something respectful. And this is something that you've learned in your travels.
Okay.
It is a greeting of equals, if that makes sense.
He enjoys being called that. Just accepts it and doesn't say anything about it. And he's going to start to, when they get through his hair, he's going to start doing braids in it and just make a bunch of braids he can just wrap around.
Gotcha. And Muri in this time has been doing lovely work with Robin's hair. It's been French braided very beautifully. She doesn't have hair, so she's really happy when she gets to do stuff like this.
Once she's done, he practically perfumes himself, puts on all of his layers, and takes a bow, gets his backpack on, and begins to head back towards the door.
Robin.
Yes, Miri, and he stops and turns fully.
Two things of note. One, you may sleep inside or rest if sleep is not something you prefer. And two, if you ever wish to speak to me, even if it is only to tell me something that I might not ask questions about, you may do so at any time. In fact, I would enjoy it.
He nods. I might take you up on that. Give me some time. And thank you, motions to the hair, again, for everything.
She
He
nods and returns the bow.
He settles down on the inside of the door.
I should also, now that I'm thinking about it, Rhea, you saw it as well. Roll me a medicine check. As he walked past you. Bare-chested, bare-scarred.
Mia Dician.
It's like Geralt of Rivia to... Oh, wow. All right. You... Maybe this would be later as you're walking back to the room, but you consider it, you think about it. No living man could walk or live with those wounds. His body is destroyed.
Gotcha.
With that, Robin, you take up position on the inside of the door. Where's Erdegar? Is he with you? Is he still in the bathroom?
I'm having him patrol the girls to ensure that they do not get restless during their sleep. I'm having him to fly to each one, taking a minute or two to evaluate their sleep pattern to see how much their eyes are twitching, how their breath is, and then go to the next. And
About how long does this go on before Majenko is like, go away?
Yeah, well, first things first, I would need him to roll a stealth check, please, as flapping bird wings is not exactly subtle.
Oh yeah, let me see what that is. We don't share that stat once.
Mm-mm.
Ria's also still awake.
Yep.
So
He will
So he
skip
just
the
gets
awake
real close to
people.
you and just stares at you.
Yeah.
watches her while
Looks
she
you up and
plays.
down, yeah. Yes, by the way, Ria, you quietly play the violin very well. Oh gosh. I'll address that in just a second. Getting used to the placement of your fingers and how the bowstring works, and you're able to fairly competently recreate one of the songs Shaw has played for you before. And
I do want him to keep boundaries. I'm just saying that. Like, he's not sitting on them staring down, like, breathing their hair.
At one point, Erdegar would fly into your room, land on a shelf fairly far away, watch you for a moment, and then flap away to another room. Amelia's door is closed, and he just begins flapping to Aras. Aras, you're awoken by the flapping of bird wings landing not right next to you, but certainly in the same room.
Yeah, she would like, what the hell, and then realize and
He's allowed to tell them what he's doing. That's acceptable if they ask.
How does he speak? Like, what does he speak like? Does he speak like a bird?
He probably tries to mimic that of a raven as much as possible, as you don't really want anyone knowing what that is riding on your shoulder. You want it to be a bird
Right.
at all times.
So like the what is it? There's this YouTube channel of a bird that's just like, fucking legend. You're not a fucking legend. Fucking legend.
No, that is. Not only do I know exactly who that is, I follow them. That's a cockatoo.
So it would land on the shelf, and Ross, when you look up, Erdegar would say, making sure you're safe.
okay. Like, she had her hand like on her like thunder cannon, like, oh my god, there's something wrong, and like, why didn't Kitty warn me or something? And
Right.
Thanks.
And then it flaps away.
Didn't Robin tell someone in the group that Erdegar is a demon of some sort? He wasn't specific, but I feel like he told someone.
Ria.
He said something like that to Ria, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
No, I mean, Ria, now that I know that the Erdegar has permission to tell you, he would say something similar as he flaps onto the shelf.
Ria would just smile at him, say hello, continue playing.
With that performance, actually, I think Erdegar might stay just a little bit longer.
That's acceptable if it makes him happy.
Yeah.
About what time does Ria start playing?
Oh, she was playing.
Yeah, as soon as Robin went downstairs, she started.
But it was very quietly. I don't think you'd hear it from downstairs.
Right.
Gotcha.
Once Robin got adrift of that, actually, he'd probably switch places with Erdegar and make patrols himself.
Gotcha.
He really likes music and entertainment, so he'd probably come up, find Ria, tap on her door twice to let himself be known, and then nod to Erdegar to go downstairs and watch the door.
Flap of wings.
Loud flap of wings.
You gotta teach him to glide.
He's clumsy. It's fine.
Just see his landings.
It's all those eyes. It makes it really hard to judge things.
Death perception's thrown off. Okay. Yeah, so Robin is at the door, Ria. Do you continue playing, or?
Yeah, she would smile and acknowledge him, and if there's a chair or like just the end of the bed or something, she would nod to it.
He would come in and pretty much lay down at the end of her feet with like his head towards her feet and just kind of like put his arms above his head and just relax there on his backpack and like not look at her while she's playing, but obviously want to just zone.
It is.
You know, is that if somebody starts playing the violin and it's the only violin in the house, then Moiri might actually drift by too and stand just outside of the doorway for a little bit, just listening.
I will tell you all that it is very well played. There are parts where the cadence perhaps slows down as Rhea shows some hesitancy. It's clear that this is not an instrument she has been expertly trained in, but natural talent and perhaps her time with Shala has given her enough that there are no mistakes in the song, simply a change in cadence from time to time. Rhea, how long do you continue to play for?
She will play for a few hours. And then probably. But you said it was like 1 a.m, right?
Well, no, it was like 3 a.m. So now it'd probably
it?
be closer, yeah. Because you'd had a full night's at least 6 hours of sleep. So now it's probably 4-ish.
So yeah, she'd play for a few more hours, and then when everyone usually starts, when it starts getting to that time, she'll rest for a while, and then when she goes downstairs, she'll switch over to the her pan flute, which she actually knows how to play well.
Got you.
For a while.
So you play for a few hours, and when you're about getting ready to finish, and Weary and Robin, you've kind of lost track of time. So expertly Rhea has played, and Weary, you especially, having heard Shala, the skill is not quite the same, but the intangible, the passion, the love, the energy is absolutely the same. But after a few hours, as Rhea's about ready to stop, you hear from down below. Hello, my good friends. Oh, Portly, hello there. It's like a little barking from down below.
And Moiri will slowly turn and make her way down the stairs.
You would see Baboon there in he was planned to come back in the morning, so he came back on his own. Yes. You see him in brilliant gold and lavender robes, carrying again the bag of holding. And he goes, Weary, my dear sweet Kadal, I am so glad that you were the first ones I was able to lay my eyes on this morning.
She gives a soft huff, but her eyes are smiling. Good morning.
Good morning to you, my feathered friend. I hope I am not too early. I did not want to miss the adventure.
She shakes her head. No, I don't believe anyone here would have adventured without you. Do you have a preference for food?
Yes, anything made by your soft touch.
Sorry.
And he says, "You don't mind if I put my bag down here, do you?" He like points to a place on the ground.
There are not one but 2 tables in this house. Go for it.
he'll go put it on the table, and he'll be like, "As requested, I have brought." And he opens the bag, and the head of a young Fey girl bursts out of it, and like Baboon's face, his jaw just drops.
Oh my god.
Yes!
So do I.
Can't miss that adventure, man!
And Brunhilde is just like gasping for breath as you cannot breathe inside a bag of holding.
No.
And Mary stops what she's doing and sighs and turns around and comes over and offers Brunhilde a hand. Good morning to you too.
Thank you. Muri, was it?
Correct.
Oh. And she starts to take your hand and climb out, and then you hear, Brunhilde. Oh. Hey, Baboom. Brunhilde? What are you doing in the bag of holding? Oh, you didn't, I thought you told me to, I must have made a mistake. Yes. Miri, you don't even have to insight check this. She's not very good.
Gotcha.
Her and Amelia can bond over their mutual disability to lie. God.
And Baboon,
Mary nearly shakes her head.
Baboon, who seems genuinely upset, goes, apparently you did. This is a very dangerous place, Brunhilde. I told you that. Yeah. But what if you need help? He sighs and pinches his nose.
And Mary looks over at him with a twinkle in her eye. But adventure calls to all of us, I suppose. My dear, do you have a preference for breakfast?
Oh, anything sweet. And she steps down and starts brushing off her dress, and she's wearing a very long gown. It looks very much like a high quality village dress, where it's not a corset, but it certainly has a loose blouse underneath, and then the dress comes up and over. Like you would think the stereotypical bar maiden would wear, but a high quality version of it. And of course, she's got purple curly hair that's kind of short, almost in like a bob, with two antennas that come out the top and mirror black eyes. Her form is very lithe, very thin, and she steps with a dancer's grace, effortlessly, as if not even trying. And she follows you to the kitchen, and Baboon is just there. Mouth open, like he wants to say so much. And then he just starts muttering to himself, I gotta try to get into trouble with the children, and he starts pulling out all the items that were requested. Robin, of course, you see all of this.
He stopped on the stairs because he doesn't want to get in the way of Baboom's groove. He's quite entertained about the girl in bag.
The rest of you could certainly hear all this going on downstairs.
Oh, Rhea would have absolutely followed Robin out of her room.
Got you. So, Rhea, you were a party to all this.
Yeah. Amelia's following, uncomfortably close behind, kind of craning her neck over everyone, just kind of huh.
When Amelia shows up, Aras is gonna actually kind of grab her and say, I could use your help on something.
She gives you a bright, shiny smile and says, yes, of course. What did you need?
Oh my god.
Up in the attic, if you could follow me. So we'll go up there.
Man, if it was anybody else, that'd be a real creepy request.
So you two make your way up to the attic.
And I mean, we can wait if you want, or we can just continue.
No, continue, please.
Oh, okay. So Aras pulls out this ring that she had been working on. It's made of a garnet rose with black onyx jewels around it. and she says, I need your help to cast or infuse a spell into this for minor illusion. Can you help me with that?
God, is that something that she has to have in order to cast?
I think it just had to be on the spell list, a spell that she was capable.
No, it needs to be a spell that she actually has.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, is it?
Yeah, because if she can't cast it, she can't cast it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Is it a spell that she can?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
I know someone who could. I think.
Is it Baboom?
Hang on, let me check. I'm pretty sure. Give me a second.
I know Freya could, but she's gone. So.
Portly.
Yeah, Portly can do it. Yep.
Did I not write down? Let's see. Oh, he can't. He can. He definitely can.
Okay. So when she says she can't, that's fine.
Right.
So say it.
Shala could.
Oh my god.
Oh, very true.
Every time.
I mean, as far as you know, she's casting it right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
So then she'll say that's sorry to bother you. Maybe we'll go downstairs. Maybe Baboon could help.
She raises a brow and gives you a smile and says, "It's no bother, really." And she heads down at an unusually peppy pace.
To where Mary is teaching Brunhilde how to flip a pancake.
Oh my god, yes!
Brunhilde, who is paying vehement attention to Muri and averting all eyes from Baboom, who is still just muttering to himself.
And Poisoner's kitten. Jesus Christ.
Serious question.
Serious question. She was
Now,
raised by
here's
assassins.
a question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the change in Amelia is noticeable? She
What-
is acting different.
What change? Oh, well, right now you're Amelia, right?
No.
Oh,
Bright
well
and
then.
sunny.
Well
that's
then.
definitely Amelia.
That's a fair point. I didn't think
Mhm.
about that for a second.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. Is the change noticeable?
110%. Like, her posture is different. Her smile is. It's gone from, like, awkward white person to, like, movie star smile. Like, total shift.
Ross will probably have made a comment about like, "Wow, you seem real well rested and chipper this morning," and that's about it. Be like,
Gotcha.
Was this, like, while they were upstairs, or?
I mean, I'm assuming at some point, yeah. Comment in passing, as opposed to Aras's normal dark circles and not sleeping well at all.
Aras's or Amelia's?
Aras's, well, Amelia as well. I think everybody in this group is
Yes.
sleep deprived.
Robin's fine.
Yeah, everybody else.
No, but was this comment, like, made while they were upstairs or in front of everyone else?
Oh, while they were upstairs.
Oh, at that point, she would shrug a little bit and say, "I got a little better sleep last night, I suppose."
You'll have to give me your tips sometime. Sleep hygiene, that's apparently a very important thing. Can never quite get it down right.
Perhaps try sleeping like the dead. And she kind of laughs at her own joke and heads downstairs.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that's so good.
She's got jokes, guys.
So, what would one have to roll to figure this out?
Just roll me an insight check. Wouldn't be very hard.
Nope.
I suppose not to figure out that something is different about Amelia, but to figure out what is different about Amelia.
Yeah.
And the answer, Robin, is absolutely the fuck not.
Okay.
You're talking to a bird that's practically asthmatic, and you absolutely can tell.
So
He will drag Baboom out.
here's what I will say. All the insight in the world would not just straight up tell you that Amelia has been possessed by Annika. What you can tell, because it's not mind reading, but what you can tell is her mannerisms are utterly different. This may look like Amelia, but it does not move or act like Amelia.
That and Moira has met and spoken to Annika before, and has a pretty okay understanding of Annika.
Yes. I will leave that to your purview, but I again, like I stress, insight is not exactly mind reading. I don't think you would know for sure. You would just know this is very, very weird. She is not moving like Amelia at all.
Gotcha, and that would definitely attract her attention.
Mm-hmm.
And she just watches for a moment. Amelia.
Her computer froze.
Well, she's in the other room. I can go get her.
Until the computer resets.
Oh my god, let me go get her, and Ross do whatever you want to do.
Sure. Ross, what's up?
I was just gonna ask Baboom if he could do me a favor.
Of course, dear Ross. What could I possibly do for you? Perhaps
just
stick
kind
you in
of-
a bag of holding.
Well,
He looks over at Brunhilde, who
you know,
shrinks away.
that sounds like fun, and we've done that before, but actually air bladders are really helpful because you can use it to hold
He holds up a hand.
air and then-
Don't, my dear friend. Do not encourage her.
Oh, sorry. And she'll kind of look around, and I'm assuming Ria's in the room.
Ria's down there.
So she's gonna because she's not subtle at all, and just kind of look around and look at Ria and be like, can we go talk upstairs?
Of course. I've actually never. Oh no, I have seen upstairs. I had a friend with you, a lovely chat with you, a lovely friend Robin up there. Of course.
We're gonna go to the attic.
Ah. Well, that will be an adventure then. Come, please, let's go. And he puts an arm around you and starts guiding you up the stairs.
Follow me to the mysterious attic.
Where no one will be around, and it will just be you and me.
I don't think he cares. It's an adventure.
Anyways, here's Alora.
Hi, my computer died.
Hi.
It was possessed as well.
I sent you the closest reference pic I could find.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a chance, you take a look at it.
Yeah, I will.
But yes. So, Miri, Amelia, Attica. I mean.
So, Miri just looks at Amelia's body, and says, Amelia.
She turns to her with that same bright, shiny smile and says, "Yes, Moira."
And Miri cocks her head.
She raises an eyebrow.
Or perhaps not.
The smile goes a little bit wider.
I don't know, Laura, what do you think?
Hmm.
Do you think she would put it together? There's only
Not
so many people
that
they could
hard.
pick in there.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Gotcha. So Mary cocks her head the other way, a total 180-degree rotation, and says, Annika, then. Do take a seat.
She bows her head a little bit and goes, I'm honored to be invited to the table. And she goes and sits. And then there's silence.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mary goes back to cooking, and there's, you know, the teaching of the new Fae girl how to make pancakes, so that's probably probably carries its own brand of chaos with it.
Oh, there's chatter too, I'm sure. If she sits down, Robin will pull the seat out with his boot. You just say, "Good morning, Amelia."
She sits down and gives you a very familiar, bright smile as well and says, Good morning, Robin. And she kind of props her chin on the back of her hand and says, Did you have a restful night?
Yeah, actually, there was some wonderful music being played, and he nods his head across the table. And I had actually a fantastic thing happen.
Oh.
Don't worry about it. My mood is good today. Quite excited.
Good to know. We'll certainly need that for our performance.
Nod. And your night? It's obviously a slightly awkward conversation on his part.
It was lovely, thank you.
Are you feeling all right?
Quite.
There is a visual sigh of relief, as if he had some sort of concern. And he nods to himself and will begin just drumming his claws on the table to a beat, just not annoyingly.
And she just sits at the table, chin propped against her hand, and she just kind of observes as the cooking lesson continues.
Yeah, and Mary will eventually serve up some pancakes and cock her head at Amelia's body and say, Is this new? Can I expect this more often?
Her eyes go from the food up to Moiri, and she kind of tilts her head and goes, Hardly new. Done this a few times now, actually.
As you say that, Rhea, who's sat at another table and softly being playing the pan flute, hits a really sour note right when you say I've done this a few times.
She just slowly pulls the pan flute away from her mouth, has this very embarrassed look on her face as she slowly looks around the room at everyone. Sorry.
Happens to the best of us, no worry. Considering your performance last night, it's fairly negligible.
So many innuendos.
Can I roll insight?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, please do.
Also, Mary did call her Annika in front of the whole
Yep,
table.
she did.
Yeah, but Rhea doesn't know technically who Annika is.
Yeah, right.
Nope.
So she just nods a little awkwardly and says, "Thank you, Amelia."
Mary,
Oh my god!
Mary, as you're doing this, you hear, Mary, where do I put these? And you see, like, Brunhilde's got, like, stacks of perfectly browned cakes.
That's amazing.
And Mary looks over her shoulder. Put them wherever you'd like to eat them, dear.
I would absolutely love to. But the music stopped.
Oh my god. Annika stands up, since we're not playing that game anymore, and goes over to where the dishes are and starts laying out plates.
Brunhilde looks expectantly at Rhea.
Oh my god.
Rhea kind of clears her throat for a moment, and nods, and quietly starts playing again. A little awkwardly.
Roll again. Roll
Yeah,
again.
yeah, roll again.
You can do it.
Yay! As
with encouragement.
it's one of those moments where it's like, no, this is my instrument. I can play this. And you start doing beautifully, and the second you start playing, she starts moving to the music and dancing and twirling around the table, putting cakes down on different placemats and things of that nature, almost like a ballerina.
Oh boy.
This is amazing.
Uh-huh. So, were you two continuing your conversation, or
Which two?
you and Annika, or were you done?
Oh no. Oh, where did we leave off? Oh, Rhea, like really biffing the music.
Right,
there.
because Annika said she's done this a couple of times
We've
now.
done this before.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
And you see Mary give you kind of a look over breakfast.
No, but if I'm going to be acting as a main character in the play, I might as well have some time to prepare. Should I not?
Mary gives a soft rattling laugh. Very well. I suppose, though, the question remains, do you take your tea differently than your sister, or the same way?
The same way will be just fine.
Very well. Welcome to the table, Annika.
She nods and then pauses, and kind of looks over at Rhea and just watches her play for a while, not wanting to interrupt.
You suddenly notice Brunhilde standing next to you, looking uncomfortably close at your face. I thought you were named Amelia.
Unlike Amelia, Annika just smiles and holds out a hand and says, technically, she is.
Brunhilde takes your hand and shakes it and looks a little confused, and then shrugs, clasps her hands behind her back, and spins around you. Whatever. And just continues spinning.
I love her! Oh my god!
I love her so much.
Holy shit.
Up in the attic. Oh,
Yes.
Well, I was expecting it to be a bit more dusty, if less cluttered. Very many things you have up. He's like picking up one of your inventions and like poking it. Like, what even is
Oh,
this?
don't. That might hurt you or explode. It's an early prototype, and she like takes it and
Like he
sets it back
freezes
on
the
its
second
stand.
the second you said explode, like he freezes mid poke. And he goes, right. One of those workshops.
Well, not everything. I mean, I'm more of, an all-purpose tinkerer. In fact, actually, what I needed your help with is, she pulls out the ring, and, she's like, I need to imbue this with magic so that it could create, like, a small image, picture of a person, or, say, music, or something like that.
He takes it in his hand and holds it up close to his eye and starts examining it. This is no ordinary magic ring. This is different. This is... Yeah. How did you make this?
Well, I mean, I had my chisel and my tools, and first I started with the garnet and made it into like a rose shape, and then, you want to make sure you have the right setting for your gemstone, and then
He instantly, would he? Yeah, he instantly casts Identify on it. And then looks at it closely. No. My dear friend, I'm not talking about the superficial aspects of it. This ring, it is capable of holding a spell in perpetuity. I have sold items like that, but never one crafted like this. How did you do this?
Well, I...
By the power of the All-Nighter.
No.
Because Sabinos, Ross has a very different, more scientific style.
Oh, yeah, I was kind of getting to that.
Yeah.
And she's gonna... It comes back to, I guess, maybe my way of looking at magic, and, well, it's really just sort of science that we don't exactly understand, and you can, if you focus your energy just right, you can, create a vessel so that it will hold a particular enchantment, and it has to do with the tools and the focusing, and you don't know what I'm saying, do you?
I know enough to know. He puts an arm around your shoulders. We are going to be very great friends, Ross. Do you know, did I ever tell you that I just so happen to be the #1 seller of tinkering?
Oh.
Well, I've never actually checked, but I like to think so. Ha! And he gives you the ring and slaps you on the back.
When he suggested selling tinkering stuff, she's kind of standoffish, because the items that she makes, she doesn't want to sell them, to give them away to other people that she doesn't trust.
Right. No, naturally, but that's not. Yeah, you get the feeling that's not how baboons think.
She kind of looks at him like, yeah, okay. She clearly has a funny hang-up about selling things.
And he looks around and goes, but you said you needed what is it? You said a spell cast on the ring. What type of spell?
I'm looking for something that can make an image. So, if you wanted to, say, see a picture of somebody, or even the actual person, or maybe you even replay a particular event.
That I can most certainly do. Though with the nature of this item that you've created, the image, the spell, the image that I make with the spell will be forever locked in it. It will only create this image, yes?
Sure, yes, that would be... Can you make it do music as well if it can only do one thing?
Oh, that would be interesting. I suppose I could do 2 castings on it. If your item can withstand it, I suppose we'll find out, huh?
Maybe.
Aras, roll me a tinkering check, please.
Oh. Of course, I had it open and then
this would
changed
be
it.
with advantage, of course, because you are getting help on this. Obviously. Okay. It can most certainly either... So, what it can do is 3 effects at once or individually. So, image, a sound, and either another image or another sound. Make sense?
Yeah.
Or it could be a scent as well.
I think I would do like 2 different images and sound.
Sure.
The first image would be just Shala herself.
Mm-hmm.
And the second image would be of Shala and Rhea when Shala gave Rhea the ring.
Okay.
Because I did happen to be there for that.
Gotcha.
And then I would want it to be like, I don't think Baboon heard the music that Shala played, that she composed.
Sure he did. While you were at the castle, he was there during the inn festivities, and she certainly played. She didn't do a performance per se, but she certainly played.
So, like her, like whatever song would be iconically Shala.
Shala's theme.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Luckily, Baboon has seen Shala and Rhea, obviously. He is able to do so and casts the cantrip 3 times onto the ring. And unlike many magical items where it need many castings over several days, your item is able to trap the spell the first time cast, holding onto it permanently. The item can 3 times a day cast basically 3 charges, 1 charge per thing. You can cast them all simultaneously or together. So you could, for example, make an image of Shala and music for 2 charges, or both images and music for all 3 charges once per day, or just 3 images of Shala once a day. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. It does not require attunement.
Oh, wow, okay. Very cool. And she will be kind of shocked that it worked so well, because it's the first time she's ever actually gotten help. And...
Baboon a little
Wow.
bit too, and he goes, "That is very impressive, Ross. I did not know that you had such an entrepreneurial spirit in you."
More of a craftsman, artisan of sort.
I can see that definitely. You and I should talk later, huh? Maybe after we go see this Emperor.
Definitely. Maybe. Perhaps.
She starts backtracking. He seemed to only hear the first one. Turned around and started walking away, whistling the tune that's playing downstairs. You have yourself an item.
Yay! So...
Do you go downstairs with him?
Yeah, I would go downstairs.
You see a very cheerful scene. Rhea playing an incredibly fluid song on her flute. Portly in the corner, dreaming and kicking a leg. Everyone at the table, as Brunhilde has finished setting down pancakes.
Since it's breakfast time, I mean, Ross is gonna eat.
Right.
With everybody else.
So you all sit down and enjoy a breakfast together. Anything in particular during the food? The breaking a fast?
No?
Oh, once Rhea actually joined the table, Annika would stand up and offer her a hand and say, we've never technically been introduced properly anyways.
Ria, very confused, and takes her hand. We've met, Amelia.
Her smile goes a little wider and she says, you've met Amelia, yes, but I am Annika. You've only technically caught glimpses of me. I tend to be a bit more see-through. She gives you a little wink.
Oh, hello.
She laughs a little bit, and it's really unusual seeing Amelia's features like this bright and open. But she kind of gives you a little pat on the shoulder and gestures to the seat next to her and says, we figured that it might as well be out in the open, at least for now.
See, if you mind, may I ask if you're here, where is?
Oh, she's still here. Don't worry. She's just off to the side, I suppose. She can take over whenever she wants.
All right then. Well, it's nice to officially.
Something in the water. God damn it. She smiles again and starts digging into food.
Robin creepily stares at her for a long time, every now and then.
If she ever catches him staring, she will give him a wink as well. And go back to her food.
Oh my god. Ria's sitting across from them. I have to.
Yep, you would see. So would a Ross.
Ria just kind of.
She's not really trying to hide it.
Ria just awkwardly shifts in her seat.
Everyone's just like, what the fuck is happening right now?
So this is a pretty good place to stop for the night. However, before we stop, I want to let you guys know the items you ordered from Baboom. It's so you do have a tab running. Is anyone keeping track of said tab?
I had it. Yes.
Didn't you put it in the group thing?
Yeah, it's in the group loot. I mean, I gave him like 900 gold.
Correct.
But then we haven't actually done anything yet, so.
Robin will cover his own.
So let me see here. Did you put it in the group? Oops,
Yeah, it's
group inventory?
the Google Doc.
Oh, the Google Doc.
Yeah,
Oh.
I gave him an aquamarine gem worth 800 gold pieces.
Correct. I just want to make sure you guys are keeping track. So, because you did purchase the things you purchased came from that, but you still had plenty left.
Yeah.
So 300 for the 2 materia. For the black ink, the paints, the canvas, you're looking at 15 gold. Wings, your gaseous form is of course 300 gold. and the ink was already included. There's plenty of ink for. I'm sorry, not 300, 150 for the 2 materia. My apologies. There's 75 each. And 300 for the gaseous form. The ink is included in that 15 gold I mentioned.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the clothes. He pulls out what looks almost like funeral clothing for nobles. They are noble dress, or more similar to what a noble court would wear at a feast that was also a funeral. Very fancy blacks and grays and whites. Puts them on the table. That he brought more than enough for everyone, so everyone can kind of mix and match and make their own outfit. And of course, you only pay for what you use, but you'd be looking at about 5 gold per outfit.
Murray looks fancy. Up at Baboon with a twinkle in his eye. Donations as well?
Oh, actually, no. This is from my private stock.
Do I need to roll insight on that?
Yeah,
I would like to as well.
Go ahead.
21.
Mm-hmm.
22. 12. Weary.
Weary. Not sure if he's messing with you, Rhea, Amelia. He seems to be telling the truth. I mean, you can't see any lies coming from him. He just openly just kind of has his arms spread wide, like slightly apologetically. And he goes, Brunhilde and I travel many places and adhere to many fashions, one might say. If the sizes don't quite fit, because if the Brunhilde is not exactly, and he kind of like does like the hourglass thing. Anyway, and he like shakes his hand. I can adjust it as needed.
I don't think we have any hourglass figures in this group.
I don't know how else to describe that motion. But yes.
So this ends with us getting dressed up.
Do you, so that I can give the picture, Ross, do you want to give the ring, or are you holding off on that?
Oh, I was gonna give it to her.
Sure. We'll end the session with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get with you later on the cost.
Okay. Because we owe Baboon, I think, 400 gold for everything.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Be more than that with the well, not including Robin's.
Minus the 800 that I already gave him. So it was like 12.
I see. Okay, never mind. Gotcha.
So that's why I was asking how much the black onyx gems were, because like I saw listed online it was like 50 gold pieces each. But that's fine. We can deal with that.
Yeah,
later.
I'll deal with that later.
So after everybody finishes eating, because it's not polite to get up from the table before then, Ross goes up to Rhea and she's like really kind of nervous and like scratching her head and everything, and like, can I talk to you someplace quieter?
Of course.
She says in a silent dinner table.
With less people. And so I guess they'll go like upstairs. And Ross will say, first, how are you holding up? I know you were missing her last night. At least
I will admit that it is difficult, but last night was a nice change of pace. My Squee.
I'm sorry, Squee's not in this conversation.
Your squee? What? Is that what you call
I've
your
lost
flute now?
Oh my god. Last night, my father visited me.
Oh? Unusual?
It was certainly different, but much preferred to Camille's visit.
How does that work? The visits.
I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean.
I mean, it's fine. We can that's maybe a later issue. Sorry, just me getting distracted. I know that how difficult it can be when you're not sure about where the person you care about is or how they're doing. And I know when I was in your place, I mean, I was surrounded by her family, and I think that helped, but being able to be in places where we were together in the past really brought me comfort, and I think that's probably why you play the violin, because you want to be close to her, to Shala.
Is that obvious?
Probably, but like I said, I know what you're going through. And unfortunately, we can't, well, maybe some of the places that we've been together, or you and Shala were together, you can't visit as readily. So I wanted to give you something that you could use, to help you remember her, or remind yourself what you're fighting for, what you're holding on to. And she'll hand the ring to Rhea.
She'll take it and just wide-eyed turn it over in her hand for a moment.
I don't have a drawing yet, but I will soon. But I can describe it because it's based on another ring, where it's actually like garnet center stone that has actually been chiseled out to make kind of like the petals of a rose in the center. Then with black onyx stuck around it, like you would have like diamonds going down the side, but it's actually onyx in like a made out of like a dark bluish type metal, so like a cobalt material for the actual ring casing. As the picture, except the center stone is a garnet and the diamonds are all black onyx.
Wow, okay. So, yeah, she'll stare at it for a moment. And when she looks back up at you, you can see like the beginnings of tears to form at the corner of her eye. Ross, this is beautiful. Did you make this?
That's what I've been doing upstairs. You know, when everybody was off doing everything else. It helps for me to keep my hands busy. I think less when I'm doing things, tinkering. I guess maybe the same reason why you play your instrument.
Perhaps. Well, this is incredible. I've ever had something like this.
If you concentrate, you can actually see her or hear her. It's a small portion of her composition. The what was it? The ballad of heroes. I'm not sure. I actually was standing outside at the time. I couldn't quite hear what she named her composition. But, you know, we're here for you. And if you need to talk, I'm great at listening. Words, maybe not. But, well, sometimes it helps just to reminisce. Think of the good times until you can be together again.
This is very thoughtful of you. Thank you. I don't think I quite understand what you mean about concentration portion. Is it magic?
It is. It is magic. And just try and just hold it and close your eyes and just think of Shala. And think of that music.
And she will do so.
And so it will activate and it will play that portion. I think it can be up to a minute, right? Minor illusion.
Correct. I'm curious, do you put it on a different finger than the Guardian ring or the same one?
She will put it on the same one.
Right next to the Guardian ring. And you focus, and a beautiful, very detailed and accurate picture of Shala at her best, like after her 2 hours of morning prep, stands before you with the song she played in that tavern playing softly around you. And Shala, though often with a sad or forlorn look on her face, has a very bright smile.
Even if we're far from old Corvosa or even Corvosa itself, still have a piece of her with you. Something you can hold on to.
She will continue concentrating for a moment on the music and the image. And then open her eyes. Or I guess she would have to have them open. she would just absolutely engulf Aras in the tightest hug that she could manage.
Aras would kind of like hug her back, but not. Definitely very awkward and like kind of a half hug. I'm not comfortable with this, but okay.
And after a moment, she'll pull away and say, "Thank you, Ross."
I hope, things look pretty dark right now. We're gonna get her.
I know.
I guess right now all we can do is hold on to our memories. And count on them to keep themselves safe. And when Ross says that, she kind of puts her hand in her pocket and is like fiddling with something.
Okay.
Well, what exactly are you trying to incite?
Well, she's messing with something in her pocket. I'm trying to see if there's any particular emotion that flashes across her face when she does that.
Absolute sorrow. Like the saddest you have ever seen her.
For a moment, Rhea, just for a moment, her face turns into how you feel on your worst, loneliest nights. But it's quickly gone.
Noted.
And I think with that, we'll end the session here.
All right.
Sounds good.
I do not know if we will be able to have a session next week. I plan on it. I fully intend on it. But it will probably be with me in a hotel room. So that'll be a thing. But I can remote into my computer here and open Fantasy Grounds, and we'll test it and we'll see if it works, because good lord, I don't want to wait another 2 weeks.
Right.
So we'll see. Guys, if you're watching, just keep your eyes glued to the Twitter on Monday, and hopefully we will be here. But until next time, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.